Good evening to members of the foreign and local press. Thank you for staying with us for the next press statement with Undersecretary Emmanuel Leyco, the Philippine Department of Social Welfare and Development Officer in Charge, and Philippine ASEAN Sociocultural Community Leader. DSWD Undersecretary Emmanuel Leyco will give us a press statement today on the sociocultural deliverables under the Philippines ASEAN chairmanship. Since this is a press statement, we won't be taking any questions from the floor. Prior to his appointment to the Philippine Department of Social Welfare and Development, Undersecretary Leyco was a professor of finance at the Asian Institute of Management, WCSIP Graduate School of Business. His expertise includes capital markets, financial risk management, public finance, and macroeconomic forecasting. Undersecretary Leyco is also president of the Credit Rating and Investor Services Philippines, a private corporation that provides credit ratings on asset-backed securities, corporate bond issuers, and risk assessment services to debt issuers and investors. The company is one of only 2 accredited credit rating agencies in the Philippines by the Securities and Exchange Commission. With that, I am very pleased to welcome Philippine Department of Social Welfare and Development Officer in Charge, Undersecretary Emmanuel Leyco.
Good evening. The commemoration of ASEAN's 50th anniversary has brought together the community through numerous strategic activities that raised people's awareness on ASEAN, particularly its achievements in the past 5 decades, and called for greater solidarity on the way forward. To enhance commitment in implementing the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Blueprint 2025, and in line with the priorities of the ASEAN chairpersonship of the Philippines, the ASCC Council presented the following documents as key priorities for 2017, which the leaders adopted, noted at the recently concluded 31st ASEAN Summit. Adopted and the sole document signed by ASEAN leaders, ASEAN Consensus on the Protection and Promotion of the Civil Rights of Migrant Workers. The following documents were adopted by the ASEAN leaders. ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on Ending All Forms of Malnutrition. ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on Antimicrobial Resistance, Combating AMR through One Health Approach. ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on Disaster Health Management. ASEAN Declaration on the Gender-Responsive Implementation of the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and Sustainable Development Goals. ASEAN Declaration on the Adoption of the ASEAN Youth Development Index. ASEAN Declaration on Culture of Prevention for a Peaceful, Inclusive, Resilient, Healthy, and Harmonious Society. ASEAN Joint Statement on Climate Change to the 23rd Session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Joint Statement on Promoting Women, Peace, and Security in the ASEAN. The following documents were noted by the ASEAN leaders. First, ASEAN Youth Development Index. ASEAN Joint Declaration on Hazardous Chemicals and Waste to the 13th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Basel Convention, the 8th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Rotterdam Convention, and the 8th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Stockholm Convention, meetings of the COPs to the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Conventions. We encourage the sectoral bodies under the ASCC to follow through the aforesaid documents with concrete programs and activities which would benefit the ASEAN peoples. As of date, 14 out of 15 ASCC sectoral bodies have finalized their respective agenda, work plans, work programs for 2016-2020. Meanwhile, the ASCC Council notes the progress in operationalizing the monitoring and evaluation framework of ASCC based on the Guide to the Monitoring and Evaluation of ASCC Blueprint 2025. We also noted the commencement of the development of ASCC Blueprint 2025 Result Framework Indicators in October 2017. For the advancement of gender equality and women's empowerment in the ASEAN, the ASCC Council noted the Manila Statement on mainstreaming women's economic empowerment in ASEAN and support the endorsement of the action agenda of the Manila Statement on mainstreaming women's economic empowerment in ASEAN by the ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting for adoption by the ASEAN leaders at the 31st ASEAN Summit. We encourage the relevant sectoral bodies under the ASCC to contribute to further the implementation of the action agenda. Finally, the ASCC Council also supports the ASEAN Youth Interfaith Camp, or AYIC, which was held on October 20th to the 30th, 2017 in Jombang, Indonesia, which serves as a testament of how ASEAN can promote peace in the region. Thank you very much for your attention and good evening.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Leyco, for your time and for that press statement. And thank you to all of you. And that ends this evening's press briefing. Thank you.